Welcome to the 2020 NBA mock draft. It's our favorite time of year. Unfortunately, it's pushed back, but we think we're still going to knock it out of the park right now. So I'm going to go through the order of our simulated mock.
The first overall pick in the 2020 NBA draft belongs to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Right behind them at number 2 is the Golden State Warriors. Moving up 3 spots at number 3 are the New York Knicks. Moving up 4 spots at the 4 spot are the Charlotte Hornets. Dropping in the draft are the Minnesota Timberwolves at number 5. Also dropping 2 spots are the Atlanta Hawks at number 6. The Detroit Pistons follow that trend, drafting 7th. And the Chicago Bulls are going to draft 8th. The rest of the lottery remains the same, with the Wizards drafting 9th, Suns 10th, Spurs 11th, Kings 12th, Pelicans 13th, and Trailblazers 14th.
And with that, we are going to get started on the clock with the number 1 pick in the 2020 NBA draft is Mr. Zachary Busman. Bust, take us away.
All right, the pick is in. Cavaliers select Anthony Edwards from Georgia. And I think that he's not my favorite guy in this draft, but I think he's who they would probably go with. He's got a lot of potential. I think I could see him averaging 20 points a game by his 4th or 5th season in the league. Not overly thrilled with his shooting, honestly, but he's NBA ready with his body, and he's very athletic. He likes to drive to the lane, good finisher. Jumps out of the gym at shooting guard. So I don't know. I think he's definitely has potential to be like a star offensive player at some point, but I think has a little more bust in him potentially than maybe like a James Wiseman pick.
All right, excellent. All right, moving to pick number 2 and the Warriors pick with Mr. Ethan Fabs. Fabs, what do you got?
In this draft, we got a lot of guys that are higher or lower, but might not fit some teams' needs. But I still think Golden State, even though with the injury of Klay Thompson last year, and they still went on and got Russell, they still can't prove they'll go for talent. So I think clearly the best player on the board is LaMelo Ball. So I think they'll go for that, and they'll either, if they have to trade it, I think I could see them doing something kind of more like how the NFL does it, where they know the Knicks really want them, and they could pull something off where they know they might want Wiseman, but they can get more because Ball has more, for sure, more talent. That I could see them trying to do, like, a trade down just for like one little asset, or trade to someone else. But I think if they would have to take the pick, they're going to go by talent. They're going to pick Ball.
Wow, that shakes things up definitely. With what a lot of people have as a consensus top 2. But again, that's a great box office pick as well. Bring the Ball family name into it. With the Warriors, it's instant business credibility right there. So yeah, wow, that does change things in the order. With the 3rd pick, new president of basketball operations, Leon Rose, keeping Scott Perry for the time being at the GM role. They're gonna take James Wiseman at this point if he fell to them at 3. Just based again on talent. I think this is a 3. The top 3 players are head over shoulders better picks than the rest of this draft. I think we can all agree on that. Yeah, most definitely. I think Knicks fans would be excited. They're pretty unruly on draft night, booing the commissioner. You plug that in with RJ Barrett Kevin Knox. You got a legitimate big man of your future. Hopefully they can tap back into the Ewing days with that. So, yeah, that's my third pick for the New York Knickerbockers. The fourth pick, I'll also be making the Charlotte Hornets pick. Mitch Kupchak, he's been the GM there for the last couple of years, coming from LA. MJ's let the reins a little loose in the last few drafts, trusting a name like Mitch Kupchak run the show. So with those three names off the board, it's a free for all. I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to what's going to happen next. What's going to happen really anywhere in this first round. It could get crazy. But I think Mitch is going to take Killian Hayes, the point guard, combo guard from France, who played in the BBL this year in Germany. The Hornets have been notorious for taking picks that I guess are safe at the time, but I think they go this time with a potential pick, especially with they had the opportunity to move up in the draft through the lottery. And Killian he's a great lefty, super crafty, super flashy, super young too. He made those mistakes, but he played in a great league in Germany. Has potential to shoot, didn't shoot at a high clip, but that should still translate to the NBA. His form looks really good. He's 6'5". He can run the floor. And I think with time, his defense will improve. But again, great size for point guard position, and will be able to guard both the 1 and the 2, potentially the 3, now that we're moving into the small ball era in the NBA. And now moving to the 5th pick, the Minnesota Timberwolves will be drafted by Mr. Ethan Fabel.
So yeah, classic Wolves fall down here in the lottery when it'd be perfect if we went up and could have got some really good talent. But I still think there's a couple players here that could help us. Maybe not as much as some of the other guys, but I think one guy we for sure would look at, or the Timberwolves would be Isaac Okoro from Auburn, the freshman, small forward / shooting guard. Great defender, great defender. I would say could be maybe the best perimeter defender in the draft. I think for sure the Timberwolves, what they're going for, they probably want a shot to be a little bit better. But just from the past, even just Rosas's before he's kind of took over and he wasn't maybe the best 3-point shooter, thinking that maybe he could produce him as a better 3-point shooter. I think really right here you go with the kind of the best guy that can go for you here in the wing. He's a really good defender, and I mean the shot could be there for sure if he could work on it. Then it could be a really good player for someone to build off of Russell and Towns.
All right, and with the 6th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, Zach Bussman will be selecting for the Atlanta Hawks.
Atlanta Hawks, yes. I think they need someone who can go along with Trae Young and Collins, especially. And I think it's going to be really important for the Hawks to get something at number 6 in this draft. There's a lot of unknowns in this draft. I think there is a guy that they can take right now that would at least be a solid role player, I would say, with absolute confidence, and that is for Sadiq Bey out of Villanova. He shot 45% from 3. He is 6'8", 216. He's ready to be a beast, able to guard 1 through 3. He's not great at shooting off the dribble, but he will nail corner threes. And, I think he has a great chance to definitely not be a bust. I think he has upside of being a potential starter someday, but he's a guy you can kind of plug in and know what you're going to get from him.
All right. And Zach, you will also have the 7th pick, selecting for the Detroit Pistons.
And with the 7th pick, I take Denai Abdia out of Israel. He's got a high IQ. He has a great step back three, and he's extremely versatile. He can kind of do it all. So, just as I watch him play, he can do so many different things, and he's extremely lengthy, but still like built. And I think that he has a chance to really be a good player. And yeah, they got, some guys over there in Detroit that would be, I think he'd fare really well with.
So we're going to move to the 8th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, Chicago Bulls. Fabs, what do you got?
So for the Bulls pick, looking at my board, there is one player who is very talented left on the board. I mean, he definitely has his flaws, but I think with how Lauri Markkanen kind of has been kind of the downtrend, I think the Bulls will be very happy to have Obi Toppin here at the 8th pick. So I definitely, just from watching this game, I mean, it's a lot of dunks. Don't get me wrong. It's like you're watching a video game sometimes, and I know Dayton might not play the top of his talent, but I mean, he looks like the part. I mean, he does remind me, which could be a bad thing, of Michael Beasley at Kansas State. But I mean, he's very, very. The ceiling's there if they can get out of him like better offensive game, more rounded for sure. Like getting the shooting, especially. I mean, it's the NBA. If you're a power forward, you need to be able to shoot. And I think his 3-point shot definitely is going to be worked on. But if he could figure that out and just could be better at defensively, I think could be a really good pick for them here.
Moving to the 9th pick. With the injury-prone career as of late for John Wall, they will be taking R.J. Hampton out of New Zealand in the Australian Basketball League. Was highly touted high school recruit. Before last year, he was projected even higher than 9 in this draft. Playing in another up-and-coming league. Is very good in the fast break. The Wizards want to play fast. They are up there in the league in pace. I think they would really like to have RJ on their squad, just with what he can do in the open floor. He's got potential to be a good shooter. He's a playmaker. He's good at driving and kicking, which is huge. They're a very 3-point centered team. And I think they'd be very happy just to see him fall to 9. And with the 10th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, the Phoenix Suns will be selecting Tyrese Halliburton out of Iowa State. Point guard, shooting guard again. James Jones, GM there. Many of you know, played with LeBron a lot, known shooter. I think he's going to really like having this guy on his team. Yeah, a playmaker and another shooter all in one with Devin Booker. I think you can plug him in fairly soon. He's got to add some weight. He's got the length to play. Unorthodox shot, but shot about 42% from 3 sophomore year. But it goes in, and he's got the range. Defensively, he's a work in progress just due to his size. But I don't think there's really any better potential left on the board with this pick. And I think with this draft, GMs are going to be looking for that diamond in the rough with any pick they have. Long term, if they do decide to move on from Devin Booker, Tyrese, they're hoping can be that scoring, fill that void. And yeah, that's the 10th pick for the Phoenix Suns. And with the 11th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, Bus will be selecting for the San Antonio Spurs.
Yep, I'm going to take Aaron Naismith with the 11th pick. I think he's the best shooter in the draft. The only reason I waited on him this long was because of his stress fracture that he had. And I think he's going to come back just fine. He's so young and everything. He's a really smart player, and he's got a great NBA frame at 6'6", 213, but shot 52% from three, the best three-point percentage in college basketball with the amount of attempts that he took. I think he's got a potential to be a great defender too with that build, and I think under Greg Popovich, he's going to reach his full potential. I could see him, maybe taking Patty Mills' spot in a couple years. I know he's a small forward, but sort of positionless NBA now. I like him on the court with DeRozan. Probably not right away, but I think Aaron Naismith, in the new age, the Spurs need some scoring. I think they need to be able to score in easier ways. And I think Naismith, he'll fit right in there.
All right, and with the 12th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, Fabs will be selecting for the Sacramento Kings.
So I definitely got the Kings looking for a big here. I'm drafting though for how I feel I see it, and so I know there's like other names that people have going higher, and maybe some other guys they don't think are going as high. But for me, ranking bigs, the next best big who I think I can see the Kings taking will be Daniel Oturu from the University of Minnesota.
Let's go.
Probably a little biased from my Minnesota roots, but I just comparing him with all the other bigs out there, I think he's heads and shoulders above some of these guys that people have ranked higher than him.
All right. And with the 13th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, Fabs, you're on the clock again for the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah, I think here the Pelicans just, 13 end of the lottery, you're just trying to take a flyer on some of the guy who might have the highest upside and really a lot of talent. And I think that guy for them would be Cole Anthony. He's very good attacking the rim. I think he could be a really great player for them. I know Drew Holiday's there now, but just with where their team is, I could see him, that could be a name being thrown around trades here in the next couple of seasons here. So I think for sure that is a good player to get, and keep rolling with it.
All right, and with the 14th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, Bus is going to be drafting for the Portland Trailblazers.
And I think the Portland Trailblazers need a power forward. And in today's game, you want someone who can shoot as well. So I like Vernon Carey out of Duke. I think he can score inside and out. I think certainly mid-range, it's solid. I think he only attempted about 1-3 a game, but he was at 39%. I think that he'll be able to stroke it in the NBA, especially in some pick and pop situations. Could see him sort of like a Kelly Olynyk when it comes to outside shooting, how he would get his threes to be open for him. 6'10", 265. Gotta love that. I mean, he can bang with centers, but I think his stroke, as it becomes more polished, he'll be a guy that is a threat anywhere on the court potentially.
All right, and with the 15th pick moving into the playoff teams before the season shut down. We have the 8th seed in the East, Orlando Magic. GM John Hammond has been there a few years at the helm. Has done a good job putting together a team that plays with focus on defense. They are very, very traditional with how they structure their 1 through 5. They still have a pretty big small forward in Jonathan Isaac, who had a breakout year. And I think now they just need to improve their scoring and their offense and their shooting from 3. And I think right here they're going to take Josh Green, freshman out of Arizona, shooting guard. He is a player that you could tell he was very conscious about playing the NBA style in college. He drove, he's a good finisher, good baseline attacker, proficient from the corner, very good in transition and shows effort on defense. He's good at getting his hand in passing lanes, creating steals, getting in the fast break, getting in the open court. And I think he'll give him a nice jolt off the bench. And I think he'd be fun to watch with that team, with Markelle Fultz at the point guard with him. Evan Fournier has been a good scorer, so if they can keep Fournier at starting role for a few years more, one more year, let Josh Green kind of develop, learn the game. He's got good size. He's prototypical. And I hate to say this, I'm doing a player comparison right now. I'm not saying he's going to reach the talent of Devin Booker, but he certainly, the way he attacks, the way he shoots, he's got that swag on the court. I think that the Magic are looking for more of a finesse player at this pick, just with all the grit and grindy guys they got. So yeah, I really like Josh Green at this pick for the Orlando Magic. Moving on to the 16th pick in the 2020 NBA draft. The Minnesota Timberwolves acquired this pick from the Nets. GM Gerson Rosas hasn't been shy about changing this roster into a small ball, new wave, Houston Rockets type offense. As many of you know, Gerson was in the Rockets organization before he took over at the helm. I think Gerson at this pick is going to take Devin Vassell out of Florida State. Again, another player who seemed very conscious about the NBA style and the way he played. He showed effort on defense, very long arms, 6'7", 194. So his size, he's a little skinny right now. That's one of the main concerns, but he's got extremely long arms. His wingspan is near 7 feet. So he's good at getting his arms up there, blocking shots, getting his arms in passing lanes. Not the most athletic, but a very efficient shooter. Played on a really deep Florida State team that played about 11 guys deep. So he didn't play that many minutes. Points per game are down because of that, but really efficient, 3-and-D guy. He's a small forward. That's what the Wolves will need. They'll need a forward, moving here with D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns. So I think they'd be really happy at 16 to get Devin Vassell. And moving on to the 17th pick, Buss will be making the selection for the Boston Celtics.
Yes. Thought about this one a lot. I got Paul Reed from DePaul. Got power forward, 6'9", 210. The guy can dribble, shoot, defend, and rebound. He can do a little bit of everything. I think the Celts would love him on their bench. I think the Celts could use a little bit more bench scoring. I know Brad Wanamaker and Enes Kanter bring some scoring off the bench, but consistency could be an issue in the playoffs as they go deeper, as many expect. So, yeah, I love him. If you haven't heard of this pick, I know some mock drafts out there, you might see him in the second round. Go watch Paul Reed. I'm honestly, after looking at everything, he averaged 2.6 blocks a game his junior year. Double-double machine, can shoot the three, so athletic. I was most impressed with him at his dribbling. His ball handling at 6'9" is amazing, honestly. He's not a guy that can shoot off the dribble. He's not going to take step-back threes or anything, but he's got the handle to blow by some 4s and 5s that are going to be guarding him. And, yeah, Paul Reed, I like him at 17. I think he's a good fit for Boston off the bench.
All right, moving to the 18th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, Fabs will be drafting for the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, so actually, the guy from the beginning I had that thought I'd have Dallas taken, I for sure thought Buss was going to snag him with the Boston pick. Jalen Smith from Maryland. Great. He play the 4, might have to play a little bit of the 3 once he gets to the NBA, depending on what the matchup is. But he just had another great year at Maryland. He's the leader of that team. It was another one of the top teams in the Big Ten. He can just go inside, outside. I mean, he had some really good games where they couldn't stop him either way. If it didn't matter from the outside or the inside. I think really too with how the NBA is heading, I think he really could play a lot of the 4 if he has to. I think it's a great pick for Dallas. Dwight Powell had a great year last year, but I mean, I'm a realist. I don't think he can keep it up for the near future. So I think that'd be a great pick maybe, and have Powell have a couple good years here, and then Jalen Smith can kind of take over once he's really figured it out.
All right, and with the 19th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, Fabs will be selecting for the Milwaukee Bucks.
And again, here from Milwaukee, they're just going to try to go with talent. I mean, they're going to try to build as much piece they can around Giannis. And I think a player that I really did not hear about a lot before I got into this whole draft process, and that was Elijah Hughes from Syracuse. I really, really like his game. He can really drive well, and that's what I think is really going to help them. I mean, Giannis drives the ball a lot, but I think sometimes too, it can get a little stagnant just focusing on him. I think he's another guy who can come in and can do that, but he also can shoot threes if he has to. I think he'd be a great player to go off ball, or he can also play on the ball if he has to. He can kind of a combo guard type of player. I think it's a really big pick for them.
All right, and with the 20th selection in the 2020 NBA draft, Buss will be selecting for the Brooklyn Nets.
There's a lot of different ways I think you could go here, but I like Jaden McDaniels. It's the small forward, power forward capabilities there at 6'10" is what I like the most, his size. And with that, I think he's got a lot of potential, quite frankly. He's got a really quick release on his jumper, which I like a lot. And I think he would provide them depth. I think we're probably going to see a lot of movement on that Nets roster moving forward here. But I think Jaden McDaniels could definitely solidify as a good role player on their team. I think he's a guy that can score a little bit. And his size, he's going to be bigger than most guys guarding him. He needs to put on some weight. He's 185 right now. But give him a couple years, give him 2-3 years, and I think I like what he could possibly become.
All right, and with the 21st pick in the 2020 NBA draft, The Denver Nuggets and new GM Calvin Booth, former Timberwolf as well, will be selecting Patrick Williams, power forward out of Florida State. I think this pick, again, isn't the best available player, more so the best fit with Patrick here. There's still uncertainty around the future of Paul Millsap in Denver. At that power forward spot, there could be a glaring hole right there. Patrick Williams is 6'7", 225, 220, so he's Draymond Green size power forward who only posted up offensively once this year. Isn't a post up, isn't a back to the back player, but is a very efficient mid range jump shooter. Great defender, very versatile defender, which I think I think that's going to be a great fit for Denver. The way they play, their emphasis on defense first. I think he'll be able to switch a lot, playing between even the 5 and in small lineups, especially coming off the bench. Good free throw shooter, shot 84%. Again, playing for Florida State, didn't get that many minutes, so statistically, that's why he flew under the radar. But when he was on the court, he was producing, he was efficient, and was a big reason why that Florida State team was a top 3 team all year. So, yeah, I think that's what Calvin Booth is going to do with that pick at 21. And moving to pick number 22 in the 2020 NBA draft. The Philadelphia 76ers and GM Elton Brand are going to select Jamus Ramsey, shooting guard out of Texas Tech. Another shooting guard that shot really well from 3. They need more help. They just need to be a better road team. Honestly, the Sixers were one of the best home teams and one of the worst road teams last year. They didn't shoot well on the road. But Ramsey, he's a shooter, defender, very good defender, very tenacious. For a shooting guard, he blocked shots very well. He got a lot of steals. I just think with the way the roster's shaped, there's kind of a log jam for the 76ers with Al Horford and Joel Embiid. They need to have another shooting guard to rely on besides Josh Richardson to be able to shoot and spread the floor. They still have great size, so I think this is a good need for them. And again, a player that has a great potential to fit into the NBA style with that roster. Moving to the 23rd pick in the 2020 NBA draft, Bus will be selecting for the Miami Heat.
Well, with Jameis Ramsey going off the board, next best available, I think, for them is Devin Dotson. He's a small player from Kansas, point guard. He's 6'1", 180, but he's quickly going to be one of the quickest players in the NBA, I think. He's so fast. His first step's unreal. His finishing in traffic is amazing. He's a guy that loves to drive to the lane. He's got great body control and hang time on these finishes. And, yeah, I think he's going to bring a spark to the Heat. I think this kid's going to score off the bench. I think he's going to give you 10 points a game. Not his rookie year, but soon he will be a spark plug. And, he's all offense. And I love his motor, though. And big school like Kansas to perform the way he did, I think says a lot as well. I think that getting down here to the 23rd pick with the Heat, they need someone to go with Bam, Butler, and thinking about their future. And Devin Dotson, at this point, I think it's a good fit.
All right, excellent. So with the 24th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, Fabs will be selecting for the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, and I think Utah goes with the power forward out of Memphis, Precious Achua. Um, he really, I don't think a lot of people were expecting too much from him that last year, but once with the whole Wiseman situation and Wiseman couldn't play, he was definitely relied upon a lot more, and he really, really, really stood out. He had a great year, kind of came out of nowhere. Really put the team on his back once they need him. And I mean, Memphis is still a pretty solid team even after Wiseman was gone. So he really was. His 3 game might not be exactly there yet, but he's really good at that mid range, getting out. He's very, very athletic. Can get around people, and also his defense is very good. Even though he's a little bit smaller for power forward, 6'8", 6'9". Not really too huge, but really can keep defenders in front of him and has really good vertical.
And with the 25th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, Fabs will be selecting for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
And I think here, Oklahoma City goes with the Minnesotan. I see them going with Zeke Najila. I'm gonna mess up his name here, but
Yeah, Zeke Naji. Yep, you got
Zeke,
it.
Zeke Naji. I think they really had Steven Adams for a long time, and he's a great player. I just think he's starting to get wear and tear, especially on the way he plays. He's a bruiser. That really in the NBA doesn't last that long. At some point, there's going to be production drop off, and I think Najee's a very good player. He very athletic. I know he's pretty raw yet, but it's your 25th pick in the 2020 draft. I mean, you're gonna have to take some flyers on some guys and really try to develop them here. I think it's a really good development pick for OKC.
And with the 26th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, Bus will be selecting for the Boston Celtics.
I'm thinking Jay Scrub from JuCo, shooting guard, 6'6". Freshman year, 51 of 110 from downtown. I like the guy's game face, like the name, and I think that he can contribute off the bench. I think he would benefit from staying another year in college, but based on Celtics' needs in the depth chart, I think that Jay Scrub fills a role there as a 12th or 13th man.
All right, and with the 27th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, the New York Knicks will be selecting point guard Nico Mannion out of Arizona. Nico offensively is extremely talented. He's extremely talented playmaker, very good shooter off the dribble, can get his own shot. Watching him offensively, you see glimpses of Steve Nash. I'm not saying he's going to be that, but just the way he plays, the way he sets up teammates, and the way he can shoot the three off the dribble and create that difficult shot is very impressive. He falls in this draft, I think, because of his defense. He is not an NBA-ready defense whatsoever. He not only gets burned, but he has a tendency to give the look to other players, like blame other players, blaming his teammates. It makes me question his character as a teammate in the locker room. But I think there's a lot to work with in the late first round with that talent. Again, I'm not sure if he is a negative teammate. I just see his tendencies when the game's happening, when it's flowing. he has a tendency to kind of blame his teammates for his lackadaisical defense. He's got a long way to go if he wants to get minutes on an NBA team, but I think a team like the Knicks would love to take a flyer, have him play in Madison Square Garden, throwing lobs to James Wiseman. Would be very, very fun. He's a recognizable name. Knicks fans will be able to get on board with this pick at number 27. With the 28th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, the Toronto Raptors select Onyeka Okongwu, power forward center out of USC. He fell pretty far in our draft here. I don't think he will in the real 2020 NBA draft. Again, very long, strong defender. He's a good rebounder. I'm not as excited, honestly, just like you guys are about him. Especially seeing everywhere he's going, top 7, top 10. I think he will, but I just don't see how he's better than a Daniel Oturu. Yeah, I know I'm biased, but I watched Daniel all year, and I do think Daniel Oturu is a surefire lottery talent. Onyeka is so raw offensively, and isn't that dominant in the paint. Has some back-to-the-back touch, but he's still going to be overpowered offensively. Again, he's got great length, and he is a knack for getting block shots. So he'll fill a role. So I think a team like the Raptors would love to have him playing with a Serge Ibaka, a Marc Gasol for a few years. I think Masai Ujiri would love to have him fall to 28. That would be the rich get richer type scenario. But again, yeah, I'm fine with him falling in this draft. And with the 29th pick, 2020 NBA draft, Fabs will be selecting for the Los Angeles Lakers.
And the Lakers will pick a guard out of Arkansas, Isaiah Joe. Very, very good shooter his freshman year. Shot about 41%. This last year as a sophomore, it dipped down to 34.5, but he was definitely asked to take a lot more load than he was last year just due to the team outlook. He's still, though, because of that scoring, he's had a lot of games in the 20s. He had his best game of the year was against Ole Miss. He had 34 points, and he was 7 for 13 from the 3, so he's not afraid to shoot it. I mean, when you got LeBron and AD in your team, you're going to be able to shoot it, and you're not going to not be scared. So, I mean, he's going to probably be one of those guys where the Lakers are going to look for shooters. I mean, that's kind of what LeBron's teams have done with their late picks, and so I wouldn't expect anything different. I think at this spot, he's the best shooter available for them.
All right, and with the final pick in the 2020 NBA draft, Zach Bussman will be selecting for the Boston Celtics.
And I'm going to go with Emmanuel Quickly out of Kentucky. This kid made a hell of a leap his second year. 16 points a game, 43% from 3 for Kentucky. He averaged 5 points a game his freshman year and then is given 33.5 minutes a game for the Kentucky Wildcats. This kid shoots 92% from the line. I love it. I love his style of play. He needs to develop some playmaking. He's not really a playmaker at this point, but he's a guy that can score. He's a flat stud. He will nail free throws. Got a good-looking jumper and pretty quick player too. But yeah, I think he takes everything on. He does whatever the coach asks. He's a very coachable player. He's going to give you his all, and he's also a pretty smart guy. So pretty sharp guy. I think that he would benefit the Celtics on the bench there.
Thanks for watching the 2020 NBA Mock Draft presented by Behind the Bench Sports with Bus, Fabs, and Peezy. We would love to hear your reactions below. And stay tuned for more NBA and professional sports related content right here on Behind the Bench Network. Peace.